Right triangle trig. Right triangle trig is no different than anything else you've done in algebra. You're just solving an equation. You're using proportions. And so there is a piece of information that you do have to commit to memory. You have to know the 3 trig functions. And I'm going to define them here for you. Sine, I know it looks like sin, but there's an E that isn't put there. And so when you're looking at your calculator, this matches the button right here. It says sine. That's sine, cosine, tangent. It's actually spelled S-I-N-E, but we abbreviate it. It tells us that the sine of an angle is equal to the opposite side of the triangle. Opposite side. And you say, what do you mean opposite side of triangle? Opposite this angle. Opposite side to your angle over the hypotenuse. And then you have cosine of an angle, which is the adjacent side to your angle over the hypotenuse. And the third trig function is known as tangent. Tangent of an angle is equal to the opposite side to your angle over the adjacent. Now, your question is obviously, what's the adjacent? The best way that I have used for years to explain this to children, start with a right triangle. Let's say that I tell you in this right triangle that you have 15 degrees here, right? I like to be a little child. I call this a mustache. I just put a mustache on my triangle. I cut right through the angle that they give me that's not the right angle. So they gave me the 15 degrees, I put a mustache on there. And I always say that trig is a laughing matter. Ha-ah. Ha-ah, meaning I am touching the hypotenuse. I think most of you understand where the hypotenuse is. The right angle points at the hypotenuse. Angle. This must be the adjacent side. Ha-ah. H-A-A. Laughing matter. Hypotenuse, angle, adjacent. This is my adjacent side. Every problem you ever do will be set up the exact same way. And then we can talk about this angle. If this is my given angle, that's not the right angle, this must be the opposite side, meaning that this angle will open up to the opposite side. Your angle opens up to the opposite side. In fact, when you label a triangle, let's call this triangle X, Y, Z. The hypotenuse is known as little z. Opposite side would be little x. And if this is y, it's supposed to be a capital Y, this would be little y. So that's how you label the sides of your triangle. If you're going off of the vertices, which should always be capital letters, big X opens up to little x, big Z opens up to little z, big Y opens up to little y, and those are always opposite. But you have to start with this mustache to be able to label your triangle. Part of your homework is going to be to memorize these 3 ratios. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent is opposite over adjacent. Some people use the SOHCAHTOA. It's just a little mnemonic device where they say SOH for sine is opposite over hypotenuse. SOHCAH would be CAH. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent, TOA, is TOA. TOA. You can create anything you want to memorize it. At the end of the day, you just have to have it memorized. I've used in the past just a goofy little saying, because I'm such a visual person. I like the laughing part of trig. I think of some old hag came and hit the ornery ape. So I put that picture in my mind and I remember that I'm laughing at trig. when I say some old hag came and hit the ornery ape, it reminds me to put the mustache on my triangle, be childish, and that I'll be touching the hypotenuse, the angle, the adjacent side, and I also remember this ratio of who goes with what. In the next video, I'll show you actually how to solve some of these. The most important part of any of these right triangle trig problems is that you know this foundation, that you know that sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse, cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, tangent is the opposite over the adjacent, and when given the triangle, you know how to set it up. You always put the mustache, you're touching the hypotenuse, the angle, the adjacent side, and then you know what the other side is, which would be your opposite. We'll use this knowledge as I do several examples for you.